Now, hello, welcome to Politically Challenged. My name's Hugh, this is Ron.
Yeah.
So, tell them what we're going to talk about today.
Well, we're going to bounce around topics, as that's our thing, but hindsight. A lot has been going on this week, and this is first for our little channel, community, whatever. It's the first time that we're making a video, and all our videos are online, so we're on track, in a way. And the date is the 16th, isn't it?
Yes, it's the 16th, it's St. Patrick's Day. Tomorrow will be the 1 year anniversary of the first upload, well, the first recording of our Politically Challenged videos.
Oh yeah. Wow. I was so young then. So, on that topic, we're talking about hindsight, aren't we?
Yeah, okay, so essentially we're going to be highly reflective and contemplative in the topics that we discuss.
Contemplative. Well, it's not the case of just the case of us, it's the case of stuff that's been happening. As the time recorded, this is 1 day shy or 1 day removed of the New Zealand attack. And about a week and a half of the Michael Jackson case, that's the documentary came out.
Okay, so could we talk about the reaction to the Christchurch attack first?
It's been fairly positive. People have been coming together. There have been a few bad reactions here and there, but people have been generally respectful. The Prime Minister, New Zealand Prime Minister, she's really good, and I feel jealous that she's their Prime Minister, not our Prime Minister. I have nothing against May, but she's just handled herself so dignified.
There are a couple of things I'd like to consider. First of all, regarding the attack on 2 mosques in Christchurch. I believe that it's an atrocity, of course. I also believe that, a lot of media outlets got it right by calling it for what it is, a terrorist attack. But there were still a couple of media outlets, like the Daily Mirror, for instance, that was saying, oh, this angelic boy that grew up and became an attacker.
Who said that?
The Daily Mirror, that was their front page.
Do you want me to find that and put it here? Or was that...
It's easily findable.
For our first video, I put in that thing about the whole divisive thing. I think that was the Daily Mirror. So this is the Daily Mail.
So it's this is the Daily Mirror. So it's the same news article that when the Orlando attack happened, it would say Islamist, jihadist, asshat, whatever, killed 50 people in the club. And that was because the guy fit the stereotype of crazy Islamist terrorist. But this guy was none of that. He was a Caucasian person who killed a bunch of Muslims in mosques. People died, including the people that were trying to stop the attacks. 49 people have died, 20 people have been injured.
And time of recording.
Yeah, it was a little alarming because there was a friend of mine that was in the country and he was in Christchurch 2 days earlier, so people from our friendship group were checking in on him, but luckily he wasn't in that specific place when it happened. And then, of course, the reason why I mentioned the Daily Mirror thing is because a former university colleague of mine had shared a Facebook post about it, so I'm critiquing it now. But on mostly the media coverage has been decent. They've called it for what it is, a terrorist attack. They don't go with the normal, lone wolf, mentally ill nonsense. It's a terrorist attack. You have Sadiq Khan saying, solidarity with Muslims. And then you'll have some other people critiquing him thinking, what about everyone else? But obviously, since this was an attack against Muslims, you would have to show solidarity specifically with Muslims. But of course, I understand the other person's point of view. Also, you would have people all over the UK showing solidarity with Muslims all over the world because of what happened in New Zealand. And I'd also like to point out that the Prime Minister of New Zealand, because of what happened and because of pressure to create stricter gun laws, she's going to try and enact stricter gun laws. There are pros and cons to this.
Australia had one shooting. Well, I don't know the dates, but that's easily findable. Australia had one mass shooting in one school, and then they basically banned guns. Well, I think there's still guns, but it's impossible. It's hard to get. When people talk about, obviously there's gun crime in England, but people say that's illegal. You can still legally obtain a gun. It's just but there's a lot of why you have to go through a lot of why. It's not impossible. Either of us could get a gun if we go through the channels. It's not impossible. Either. It doesn't matter.
I'd like to point out that this person was Australian. He wasn't from New Zealand. He was Australian. And critics of these stories have pointed out that since he was Australian, he may have had an Australian gun license. And people were talking about this specific gun that he had. It's like 30 round magazine, whatever. I don't know my guns. Essentially, they were talking about how he had a gun license from Australia, so the guns he would have had would have been illegal in New Zealand. So the critiques of these potential gun reforms were talking about how you shouldn't be, making gun laws stricter for normal law-abiding citizens who haven't committed these crimes just because of criminals that went against these laws in the first place by using guns to kill innocent human beings, regardless of where he got the license from and regardless of what type of gun he had.
Yeah. When it comes to hindsight, is there anything else you want to add? Because I want to go in a slightly different tangent.
I think I'm done for this one. I didn't really want to go into the nitty-gritty of what happens hour by hour by hour because most people would have seen the coverage already. But in case they didn't, I just wanted to give a brief overview.
Yeah, kind of like a fresher course, and if they want to pursue it. Fair enough. Yeah, well, back to the Australia thing, I talked to my parents about this, and they said, there's some shootings, and on the news they said that for every 3 people there's 1 gun in New Zealand. I think the gun ratio in America is somewhat different. And then, obviously I watch a lot of American YouTubers talk about the guns, for and against, and some people are talking about, America, why does the rest of the world judge us and stuff, but they invest in our TV shows and everything, and America is, I would say it's fair to say, they are the culture hub of the world, aren't they? The shows, the music, everything, and the Americans get, annoyed, we always judge them on the guns, but nothing else, even though we take everything. But that's kind of the reason why most of the world treat America harsher in terms of their gun violence and the gun laws, is because it's from a caring perspective, isn't it? It's from a, we like you guys, we watch your TV shows, movies, we listen to your music, your art, whatever you contribute, we like. That's why we don't like it happening. We don't want to see it happening. Would you say that's fair? Would you say
it would be fair. It's a fair critique. America is a very influential country, and it is. The rest of the world would find it appalling that there would be so many mass shootings in America. But what you have to realize is mass shootings aren't the only types of gun crimes in America. You have to think about the fact that I've watched different videos as well. There was one video, we can find these sources as well, but there was one video that said that 2/3 of the gun crime in the US is actually suicide. So it's nothing to do with mass shootings, going into schools, going into Planned Parenthood, whatever, killing people. And there was another video that I saw of Ben Shapiro debating with Piers Morgan.
I like Ben Shapiro. He gives a very balanced argument of stuff. Republican, but he's very open-minded. He's very polite, and he's very considerate.
He's the type of person where you would listen to his arguments, and he does actually back up his points, and he uses logic, and he does it in such a way that it's very difficult for even people on the left who have a brain to not see where he's coming from. It does open your eyes. So he's not the type of person who's so happens to be on the right just to talk nonsense, and then it's easy for the left to disbelieve what they're saying. Ben Shapiro backs up his stuff with logic, but I digress. What I'm talking about with this video is Shapiro talked about the fact that the majority of gun crime in America is committed with hand rifles as opposed to the assault rifles. So, how I have people like you've got people like Piers Morgan who want to get rid of the assault rifles because people have been using the assault rifles to kill all of these young children and teenagers and college students in the American schools. But if the majority of the gun crimes are committed by using hand rifles, you could also have to make the argument that if you're getting rid of the rifles, you have to get rid of the the assault rifles. You have to get rid of the handguns as well.
Yeah, on the Americans, like Ben Shapiro makes like I've listened to him on the Joe Rogan stuff. I mean, I know this name, but like I saw him and I listened to talk about different stuff, and I was like, he talk about guns and like general stuff. He talk about transgender stuff, and I thought like he's very pro guns, but this is a thing like he grew up with gun culture around him. It's a very heavy part of American culture, gun culture. So we don't have gun culture. Like to me, like it's weird to say like I view gun as a very liberal thing, while we're very like it's a very liberal thing. Like you have a gun. Like I said, it's not impossible to get a gun in England, but it'll just be there's a lot of hurdles you have to go through. In America, it's just there. It's just standard.
Do you believe that if we were to get rid of assault rifles that are commonly used in mass shootings, that we would have to get rid of hand rifles? Or do you believe that we shouldn't bother getting rid of guns at all if we were in America?
Well, I don't know the laws of America. Like I know less about guns than you, so I don't know the difference between rifles. But like, if there's a way of like they talk about like the weird argument I get on Facebook posts and random stuff. It's like people like you can talk about banning guns, but no one talks about banning cars and stuff. But there's regulation for cars. You get your license revoked, this and that. There's an age limit for driving and stuff. So I don't know what the restrictions are for guns at the moment.
No, but not in terms of restriction. Well,
I don't know so like that's the thing. I think that I'm guessing there should be a criteria. Like I don't know how they qualify for guns at the moment. Obviously, I know about stuff about gun shows, and you can get like guns like.
But do you think that Americans should curb the gun use or to curb?
I know it's still ingrained in their culture, so I don't think well, not everyone. I mean, a lot of people identify with guns and stuff. Right?
Firstly, I'd like to point out if I said hand rifles, I meant to say handguns versus assault rifles, since the majority of gun crimes are being committed using handguns, not hand rifles. Yes.
I don't know the difference.
But then, no. In case I have to make that correction, because I always mince up my words. I'm doing better though. But what I need to say is, I personally believe that I used to believe that America needed to ban all guns, but apart from the fact that it's part of the culture, apart of the fact that there's the Second Amendment, you also have to think about the fact that the majority of people who have guns in America don't go out there committing mass shootings.
So
obviously you have to think about So you have to think about the fact that if there are mass shootings, whether it's a handgun, whether it's an assault rifle, you have to almost none of these media. I mean, they focus on the perpetrators, like this Christchurch bloke. They've got his face all over the place. They've got his 74-page manifesto. You know, he had a manifesto of why he wanted to do it, how he was going about it. Supposedly he had this idea 2 years ago, and he spent the last 3 months planning it. But that's just one example. They talk about the guy, they talk about his family, his background, how he was angelic, how he was a sweet guy who turned back, etc.
That's a few papers, right? That's it then.
I'm talking about different papers, but they talk about the perpetrator, they talk about the specific individual and what happened to, but you have to think about the fact that, as I said in previous videos, like with the aggression video where I went on a random tangent about terrorism that he still hasn't forgiven me for, I was right in a sense that a lot of, not all, but a lot of these people that commit these heinous crimes, doesn't matter what color they are, doesn't matter what heritage, they all seem to be 20-something, 30-something-year-old men, these millennial men. This is supposed to be the pinnacle of civilization, with social media, the internet, healthcare being better than ever before, at least on average. Society being more tolerant than ever before, at least it's supposed to be. There's an illusion of tolerance. And yet, these young men who should be in the prime of their lives, they're a very small minority of the population, but why are these men spending their time, instead of trying to build a family or trying to get a nice job or build a business, why are they spending their time figuring out the best way to kill people? What happened to them? It can't just be, oh, I have a gun. Because of this, me having a gun, I'm going to shoot somebody with it. No. First, you have to get the gun. And this guy planned it. What made him decide to plan to kill Muslims?
Well, here's the thing though.
I mean, you have to think about it like that. But then it can't just be because of what made him decide to do this.
Are you gonna go back to toxic masculinity, or is that a different tangent?
No, it's a different thing entirely. What do you think?
Well, my opinion, like, with guns and when any violence, like, people blame movies, TV, whatever. Well, like, in my opinion, with that, I say that, I mean, loads of people watch violent stuff. People watch violent stuff, and loads of them don't do anything about it. But I still don't like how certain things are conditioned. Like, again, I could go back to one lectures, like, in terms of cartoon, like, we've seen so many cartoon deaths in our lifetimes, so we get conditions, like, some people are like, oh, it's just a cartoon, whatever, but it's like, it gives other people inspiration, so some people are inspired. Like, you can't control bad people, some people are just bad. We talk about, like, nature, nurture, and, like, how people react to their environment and this and that. Some people are just wired like that, but...
So you think it was some sort of predisposition?
Well, some people are different, like, we don't need to, like, some people are different, like, the amount of people that's, I mean, everyone, every day has an opportunity to do something bad to someone. Like, I can slap you right now, but I won't. I mean, you could do the same to me for even saying that, but you don't do that. So, like, people have those thoughts all the time, but very rarely people act on those thoughts. It's just, these people do. My annoyance with media, this and that, is like kind of inspires them, it kind of gives them ideas. So like there's so much mass shooting that's already publicized and stuff, where he goes like, oh, that's what they did, I could do that, and then I could do this, do that. I mean, he still got caught, so like, but like the point is that he still implemented it. I think he expected to die or whatever. Like,
so do you believe it was the highlighting? I mean,
no. My opinion is that people will do this regardless. It's just that I say that probably the media can inspire people, but then again, like for every like 10,000, like 100,000 people that watch violent stuff, maybe one person will do something. And like if you want to, maybe actually for every million people that watch it, maybe of those 10 people that I just mentioned, I'm not sure if my math is right, but like 10, like 100,000 million, yeah. Of those 10 people that do something violent, only 3 or 4 of those people will actually kill someone. So you might do something violent, like slap someone or beat someone up, but like how many people would actually kill someone or do something very bad? So like, even then it's like, it's a minority and a minority, it's like a fraction of a fraction. It's just, because there's certain things you just can't, there's certain things you just don't account for. Like people are talking about the upskirting thing, which should be illegal now. I'm surprised some politicians were opposed to that.
I believe it's becoming, there's a law in place to make it illegal.
Yeah, but some politicians were against it, and then a few comments online. There's always comments online. There were people like, why wasn't it illegal anyway? It's like, no one thought about doing that before. Like, think about it. No one, like, I never thought about doing that. I didn't even know it was a thing. And then I was like, and people complaining why isn't it illegal. It's like, what kind of person would think of doing that anyway? Like, why would anyone do that anyway? Like, seriously, who would think of doing that? That's why it wasn't illegal, because no one would think about doing that. There was a time where like showing your ankles was like too inappropriate. Now you wear whatever you want.
Okay. Sure.
Like I'm going back to my shift happens. Like we're going back to the violence thing. Like people are just naturally violent. Like with this guns, like maybe
surely, yeah. But I mean, I understand. I am speculating here. You could make the argument that maybe that because of all of the media and the stories regarding all of the attacks, I can't even come up with the words, all of the attacks committed by people who claim to be Muslim, committed by ISIS or these other terrorist groups.
The IRA pocket, the package that didn't explode, remember? The IRA, in those different stations and the airport, Victoria Station, Waterloo Station. I think I could just put the link in the thing up, but basically the people from the IRA took responsibility for that. The Irish. So it's not just Christians, Islamists. There's bad people everywhere. I mean,
this guy, like, he's, and supposedly, according to one report, he was another one of those people that just wanted to start a race war.
I know.
His actions.
His manifesto, he wanted this to happen, so it was incite the gun debate in America further, and the fact that it was so brutal. This one is in the country unexpected.
So that all these countries would have stricter gun laws, and that would create more tension within the societies.
He wanted to create a civil war in America. He was like obviously he has mass delusions. That's not gonna happen. But like, he was real. That's the point. He was that delusioned. So like, it's very sad the amount of people died. So there's so many shootings.
But if he wanted stricter gun laws
in
to
America,
cause tension, yeah, but it's already going to be happening in New Zealand, because if I was somebody who wanted gun reform in New Zealand and then this happens, this would be the perfect example of why we should have gun reform.
Yeah, but this doesn't happen in New Zealand. Like, New Zealand has, like I said, like New Zealand. I don't know much about their gun culture, but they probably have, like I said, 1 to 3 guns. Like, I know there's probably more to gun ratio people in America, but like, I'm guessing like maybe 2 out of 3 people own a gun, maybe. So like, it's not that big. It's just that the gun culture in America is different. In New Zealand, I guess there's always going to, as something I mentioned before, there's always going to be an issue where you'll have legal gun owners that don't do anything wrong. They respect the law. They do what they need. They use and carry guns in the legal way, in a legal fashion. But then you'll have the government say, well, we're going to have to repeal these laws or make the laws stricter so that you won't be able to use these guns anymore, while people who don't obey these laws in the first place will be killing people. So it's sort of a double-edged sword. You'll be trying to stop criminals by making the laws stricter and tougher so that people don't commit these same crimes. But most of the people that wouldn't be committing the same crimes anyway, they would be unnecessarily punished for the acts of somebody that wasn't going to obey any of these laws. I know a Australian YouTuber, I watched a few of her videos, she was complaining about here in Australia pepper spray, a taser is illegal or something, and she was annoyed by that. So
yeah, okay.
Sydney something, I don't know, but
what happened?
No, she's just annoyed that tasers aren't legal, or I think rape whistles are, but I think it's that she wants guns back or whatever. Well, that's the thing, like.
What could we do then? I mean, this is what I was trying to ask myself before.
We still have guns.
Because you can take the guns away. There is still going to be people. I mean, I could ask myself all day, or I could ask you all day, oh, why did he do this? Was it because of what the media says about Muslims, what the media says about
No, he
refugees?
was just bad. He was going
That's your opinion.
People who are bad are going to just justify anything. I told you about. We talked about no line, like people make fun of each other for football. Like there are riots in some countries over football matches.
So it was you really believe that it was just a just because situation,
because he could, like he could have. In England, like you would like.
Okay, maybe
even
perhaps.
England, like people like came up with bands and knives and stuff. Like people who want violence will find a way of being violent. You can't ban knives. You can't ban or automobiles and stuff. You can't ban everything. You ban those stuff, like people will start throwing clothes at each other, or I can't think of anything else. They'll find something else to hit you with. Like it's
okay.
People always find a way. It's just
okay. So steering away from the why did he do it? Let's figure out because it's sort of redundant now. Let's figure out.
No, he just wanted to do something.
No, but why? I'm not going to ask why Muslims anymore, because we can say, the negative reputation of Muslims caused by the media, but then at the same time, there are actual people that claim to be Muslim that commit these attacks. And because of that, there's tension and hostility towards Muslims, because people who claim to be Muslim commit terrorist attacks in different countries, including Muslim majority countries, but also countries that aren't Muslim majority, but then they go and say different phrases that are related to Islam, and then people show hostility towards normal Muslims because the extremists are committing these heinous crimes. So I could ask why, and then I can ask why the media have perpetuated these stories about Muslims, but then you have to factor in the actual attacks that have happened because of people who claim to be Muslim. But I digress and I apologize. Let's go back to this. So what could we do apart from banning all guns? Because that guy...
No, just make it stricter.
But it wouldn't make a difference.
Wait.
They're criminals anyway.
Wait. Comment. I'm not sure if this guy was trolling or whether or not, but he had a weird point. He said that all you guys who are complaining about this bully having access to guns, none of you would have backed away from bullying him to actually put him to that state. Mental health is the thing. These people need to be, I would say, identified. I don't think that's very harsh. They need to be identified early on and monitored. Parents, other children, actually not children, they probably don't know, but teachers should be trained to be okay, this is worrying, and then try to ease them out the violent stuff. That's the only thing.
That's one way.
I don't know, how much earlier do you want them to see? Do you want them to be monitored in the womb? How much earlier do you want them to be seen? School. What's the thing, serial killers always, they torture animals at an early age. If you know a child that's doing that, keep an eye on them, actually. Stop them and tell them it's wrong. Because, we did developmental psychology, up to a certain age, a child develops empathy as they get older, so, if a child doesn't develop empathy for animals young, so they have to develop empathy.
So we need to do more to tackle mental health issues. I mean,
we have to look at children. And also, you keep mentioning Muslims and Islam. Historically, every religion has violence. Hindus have violence. Buddhists have violence. Christianity has violence. And then
you did mention the IRA just now, so that's another example.
Is that Christian? Is that Catholic? Is that? I don't know much about IRA.
So there have been different cultures and different religions. Well, people of different cultures or different religions that have committed these heinous crimes.
And there's always infighting. There's so many variations of Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam.
But again, there were underlying reasons. Underlying tensions.
No, but in those situations, they'd be oh, it wasn't us, it was the Protestant, no, it was the Catholic, no, it wasn't us, it was this Muslim, it was that Muslim. There's infighting within Muslims, oh, it wasn't our Muslim, it was that Muslim, it wasn't our Jewish, it was that Jewish. You get? There's so many different, there's infighting as well.
No, of course, there's
every religion.
But I'm talking about, let's think about this.
We're talking about hindsight, like this is in hindsight, so we need to stop this from happening again.
Okay, yeah, in hindsight, so...
Look at children. That's it. I have no better solution. Look at children and... Oh yeah, in countries with guns, if there's a red flag for children, they don't qualify for guns. Is that... Would anyone make an argument that they deserve guns?
I mean, it really would depend on how you would go about psychoanalyzing these children.
Well, it's easy to monitor behavior, we do psychology, but we're not experts in child psychology. Someone can make a schema and teachers will be okay, so...
And also, you wouldn't just psychoanalyze the children and then leave them alone. You would have to study them at different stages in their lives, and that would require a lot of time and money, and not everyone would want to do that.
That's funding. That's a funding problem. But yeah.
It requires a lot of money, and people won't be able to put the money in if they want to. But sometimes people might not want to. It's with those longitudinal studies, it's okay, well, how are they doing at 7? How are they doing at 14? How are they doing at 21? This guy was, 28? I'm not sure exactly how old he was, but he was in his 20s.
He's 28. He's 2 years older than me. And the Tunisia guy was 21 or something. He was really young.
Yeah, a lot of these people are in the 20s bracket. These people should be having the time of their lives. Instead, they're out there killing people. Obviously, there are underlying factors. And these are just the same things that I've mentioned before. Perhaps mental health could be a factor. Perhaps a lack of self-worth. Perhaps they were in dire straits financially. Perhaps they had no strong relationships, either platonic or romantic. A bunch of different factors that may push somebody to the extreme, and just while they're looking for some sort of purpose, they may end up making a terrible mistake. And choosing something very extreme, very dangerous, very dire, thinking, this is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe, and you have to think about these extreme dire situations like that young teenager that we referenced in a previous video that went to ISIS, got married at least once, had a child.
Actually, they had 3 children. They all died. 4 children died. It's a very tragic story, but that's different. Also,
but that's the thing. These people would go and find purpose and find it in the worst of places.
Yeah, but they were groomed. They were But the fact is, they had, again, like when I talk to my friends, like, why would you leave all the privilege of England? There's probably some underlying issues. I mean, like before I told you about the Jesse Mallet, that guy, the Empire guy. I can't say his name, but like I said, is it possible that his workplace was so toxic that he went to that extreme? We don't know what happened. I don't know.
So perhaps it would
like we don't know Begum. We don't know her backstory. We don't know her friends group.
Perhaps,
we don't know her family. Anything. We don't know how it started. That made them like likely to do that. Actually, what Jessup did was nowhere near what Begum did. But like you do know there's similarities in a way. Like
perhaps it would be too taxing to study and figure out the underlying issues. But the point that we're trying to make is, if there is a crime that has happened, if it's a terrorist attack, if it's gun crime, if it's any sort of violent crime, saying that we need to get rid of the weapons that the people used is one step, but it's not the only thing that can prevent a similar crime from happening again. It's not the only thing that we should do. We also have to obviously think about what was in that person's brain to make them think that this was okay, to make them want to do this. What happened in their life? Are there any patterns? If it is mental health, then that's something that we can look at. If there is a toxic environment, then that's something we can look at. That way we can study different people who are in similar environments or similar mindsets, and then figure out if we can prevent those people from committing similar attacks or similar crimes by helping them get through these situations and through these problems before they do anything stupid. But most importantly, not just to protect society, but also to protect these people who are obviously hurting in one way or another, hurting so much that they feel that the best way to solve or deal with these situations is to commit such heinous crimes against other people. I mean, yeah, go
on. Can we move on to the Jackson situation? That's hindsight.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's what we should...
because like this goes into perfect tension. He had childhood trauma. His dad was very aggressive towards him, and he had the burden of like being the golden goose in the family. He had to succeed, so everyone else like. What's your opinion on like them banning his songs on global radio and stuff?
Ironically, it was like New Zealand, Australia, and other countries that were banning him and his music on radio stations because of this documentary of the accusations that were made against him years and years ago. What's interesting, I'm not sure exactly why this documentary came out straight after the R. Kelly documentary. I mean, Michael Jackson is the type of person where all of these accusations were debunked years ago, and then he died. R. Kelly, in contrast, was supposedly, according to several sources, like if we look at TMZ, if we look at the different comedians like Dave Chappelle that were making fun of him, because when I say sources, I almost never mention which sources, so I'll be transparent. Different people basically saying, oh, we knew the whole time. People knew the whole time.
It's like the Cosby thing and everything.
That's another example. So, as opposed to Michael Jackson, who was proven innocent multiple times, R. Kelly was supposedly the guy that everybody knew about, but nobody seemed to do much about it until now, after this Me Too wave, after this cleansing of society where everybody has to think differently and think better. So, I don't know why the Michael Jackson documentary came straight after the other. I don't know why two people who claimed that he didn't do anything are all of a sudden saying, it was him, he did it. you have to think about it like this. Either Michael Jackson was a piece of whatever who forced these young people to... I'm thinking hypothetically here. I'm thinking hypothetically, objectively speaking. Either Michael forced them to lie and say that he didn't do anything, or they were telling the truth at the beginning and now they just want money. Those are, objectively speaking, the options available to us.
So you think he didn't do it?
Do we believe that Michael Jackson did it and forced them to say that he didn't do it, and then they're only admitting it 10 years later because he's dead? Or were the boys telling the truth, saying he didn't do anything, and it turns out he didn't do anything, and then 10 years after he's dead, all of a sudden they're saying, well, he did do things to me, and then their parents get involved, and it's a whole ruckus, and now they're banning his music, and Drake had Michael Jackson on one of his songs, and he won't perform it on tour, and all these people are talking about how Michael Jackson is wrong, and all these other people are talking about, oh, I don't care what happened, I'll still listen to Michael Jackson's music. That's the problem. Even if Michael Jackson did do what he did, even if R. Kelly did do what he did, I'm saying allegedly here, people are still going to listen to Remix to Ignition and all of the other songs from R. Kelly. People are still going to listen to Michael Jackson's hits. I feel like these people have become icons so that people don't really care about listening to the art that these people have created. As long as the art's still there, they want to listen and indulge in the arts that these people have produced. But it seems to for some of these fans, it seems to almost balance out the fact that these men might have been sexual predators.
All right.
And that's if you believe the stories.
Well, lots of people, like cleaners and different people, have come out with like allegations of this and that. Also, like, people always say it's kind of weird, like people have other allegations. It's very rarely children, so you could say that. And you have to also consider, when Michael Jackson was like at his peak, there was no singer near his level when there was no one next to him. There's no man next to him. At the time when he was big, there was Madonna, but she wasn't as far reaching as him. The closest thing to him was Madonna, and there was a big gap. You can't compare R. Kelly or any singer now because there's no noticeable gap. No one is saying no one is like promoting one person. It's just very balanced. No one was bigger than Jackson when he was big.
Okay, but why do you believe? I'll try not to overstep. Why do you believe that these documentaries are happening now, especially Michael Jackson, and he died like 10 years ago? They're making a documentary about him now, whereas R. Kelly, at least with his documentary, he can speak up for himself, whether he did it, whether he didn't do it. He can say, he can argue for himself, but Michael Jackson can't. It's left to his family.
Well, you could talk about these waves of movement. People be like, maybe now I can actually talk about it. You could talk about that, and like I think it's been reported several times. One of the victims, actually several of the victims' fathers have killed themselves in the meantime. Yeah. Like, I watched a few of True Jory's videos, and he and his friend Lawrence, they wrote a and said, look at the face of the parents, look at the face of the people talking about it. It is very difficult for that many people to be that serious, to be able to fake it. It's like, it's very difficult. Like you can't be like completely numb to the fact that much emotion is exhausting. You don't go through that. You can't visually express that without nothing happening. Like, and that's okay. And like, he also mentioned a very valid point. Like, they said that how he slept with Macaulay Culkin, you know, the biggest child star in our lifetime and in most people's lifetimes. And he's True Jory made a point like how like he was very cerebral and very precise. Like, oh wait, this is the most famous child in the world right now. If I sleep with him and do nothing to him, his opinion is it's worth a weight of gold. And people like, if he says nothing happened to him, people are like, he didn't do anything to Macaulay Culkin. That's Macaulay Culkin. He wouldn't lie. He's the biggest child star in the world. But these people, they have nothing. They need Michael Jackson. Obviously, they would lie. Like, do you see that logic? He could be that precise. He married Elvis Presley's daughter to like combine the families. He bought all the Beatles records. This was a very he was a smart guy. He knew how to like.
Could I quickly point out the irony about Elvis dating and marrying his his 13-year-old wife, but nobody cares.
He
But
did?
Michael Jackson, she was like 13.
It was a simple. Yeah, so that was legal at the time.
But now
It's legal then.
now R. Kelly's getting.
Are you telling me you wanted that to be legal again?
No, that's not the point. It just baffles me sometimes if it's okay for some people to do it but not others. Like R. Kelly, they talk about how Aaliyah was 14.
I don't know who that is, but never mind. I mean, like, people go like, I wasn't really listening to Michael Jackson's songs. I was kind of upset that they took the Simpson episode or whatever. Yeah, like it's like I could objectively hear a song and not care about where it came from, but I could understand why organizations don't want to be tethered to it. But like I said, when he was around, no one was next to him, and it's kind of a shame that all that music is tainted.
And that must be why. God, I had this point just now. It just left me. That's why. Is that why you believe that more people are likely to believe Michael Jackson as opposed to R. Kelly because he was so much bigger than R. Kelly and all the other people?
No, when he was at his peak, no one was next to him. Like R. Kelly, like when you you sent me that picture, just that article on like Messenger, and was like, who is he? And I was like I didn't know who he was. And I obviously in New Stars they showed several songs. I'm like, oh, I've heard that song. Didn't know who he was. Don't care. I'm actually looking at his songs now and see how he is. Just out of curiosity, I might.
You can't listen to his music now. Everyone has to mute R. Kelly.
Wait,
That's the
deal. I didn't hear about him before.
Well,
so
now you can't.
Are you saying I can't enjoy his song?
You can't now. We have to mute R. Kelly, mute Michael Jackson, mute Elvis. I mean, no, we can't mute Elvis. Elvis is the king of rock and roll.
What did Elvis do?
I just told you.
When it was legal, he did it when it was legal. I mean, like, you can't judge me. You like
How do you know it was legal back then?
I'm assuming it was legal. Before you told me, I didn't know that was fact or fiction. How do I know? And also, you like Mike Tyson. I don't like Mike Tyson. I don't judge you.
I barely knew about Mike Tyson anyway.
That's not it. Are you telling me? Are you saying that you didn't know? How do you not know? Like, you judge me for not knowing.
I didn't know about what he did to his wife or
some woman.
Well, no, it's not his wife.
Actually, I don't know the ins and outs. It was too graphic. I know that. I like some people like him, some people don't. Like, people that's met Mike Tyson since they say he's a nice guy. Like, to me, that just makes me like. Again, like some people are capable of changing. Like to me, like that's so bad. Like, but I'm never gonna meet him, so it doesn't matter. He has friends. He has family. He has his community, so fair enough. But I don't like him. And it was kind of bad for me to tell you because like now you can't enjoy him because I told you about him. So I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have ruined it.
We can't watch Mike Tyson. We can't watch R. Kelly, Michael Jackson. Okay, so anything else you'd like to add?
The Peter and Steve Irwin thing. Even like Peter accused him of harassing animals. Did you think?
Like you mean with the Google Doodle?
That's an adorable word. But anyway, so like that.
Okay.
So like, do you think he was harassing animals?
No.
And also, Peter has so many allegations with him, and then.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they started out as a charity, and now I know they apparently kill lots of animals, and that's been proven in some cases. They kill a lot of animals. Like 80% of the homeless dogs that they bring in, they kill. Or 86 or something. It's something insanely high.
Which source is?
Other videos. Google it. I don't.
We will have to put it in the description because.
Do we have to? Why can't people Google? I don't want to Google that. That is depressing. That is depressing. I don't want to Google that.
We're doing a show here, so we would have to find these sources and put.
Okay, you could Google it, but that is depressing.
I'll Google it. Why not?
Okay, so yeah.
Because you'll have people commenting. You don't know what you're talking about. All these sources. Which sources here? Which sources run? Is that the best you can do? As if we have millions of subscribers, but that's no excuse.
We're not really saying.
We need to fact check our stuff.
I want to be so famous that you would basically annoy me to take a break. Like we have to take we have to tell people we're taking a break.
Okay.
I mean, you took a break last weekend.
I didn't take a break. I went on a work convention. Anyway.
Our online community was ashamed that you weren't around last week.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to begin with? I mean, or end with, or whichever.
Just stuff changed in hindsight. Oh yeah, the European stuff. The amount of times we've gone around Brexit.
Because it's so complex. But if you want to get into it, essentially,
Are we leaving or are we not leaving on March 20th
No.
or whatever?
As it legally stands, we'll still be leaving on the 29th of March, and if no deal has been arranged, then we will leave with no deal.
And everything stops.
Not everything. That's a dramatization.
Everything with the EU stops.
I'm sure the EU does not want a no deal because it'll be complicated for them as well.
And I just mean like hindsight, like I don't want a second referendum. That's what I was going to go for. Second referendum.
Do you believe in a people's vote?
What's the people's vote? What's that?
Basically, they will vote on how Brexit will. They will basically vote on the terms and conditions of Brexit because there's a problem with Parliament, and it was an inevitable problem. You have the Remainers who don't want Brexit, so anything to do with any form of Brexit, they will vote against anyway. You'll have the Brexiteers claiming that the deals that May keeps coming up with to go to the EU to negotiate for are too soft. So they want a harder Brexit. Other people want a softer Brexit. Other people want no Brexit whatsoever. So all of these people will vote against these different deals and these different proposals for different reasons. So there was always going to be this
so it's like infighting, a lot of infighting.
Yes, there's infighting because a lot of people don't want a Brexit in the first place. Like you have these MPs like David Lammy saying, oh, well, the main problem is that Brexit was a farce to begin with. No, the main problem is Brexit has to happen, but you all keep voting against the different proposals. You have to find one proposal that you all agree with, and then...
Does it have to happen?
What do you mean does it have to? We both voted Remain, but as a country, we voted for Brexit. So it has to happen.
We are not a country, though. We can say our opinion. But I don't want a second referendum, but basically I just want all the MPs to group together and come up with the best way of leaving. But if there is no amicable way of them making a proper deal, we should remain. If it's detrimental to the country, the economy, and like it will take us years, maybe decades to recover, what's the point of leaving? Like, that's my argument. Like, you can't just say, let's leave, I want them to all combine together, have a meeting and see, okay, so, and if by miracle they find a way of making it viable, like, the country was fine before we joined the EU, like, the country was managing, like, it is possible, like, the fact is, it's just whether, I think there will be a slump anyway after, if we leave, I think there will be a slump. But how long will the slump be? How long will the slump be?
That's not even the main point anymore. I no longer care about I no longer care that Brexit happens because I know that Brexit needs to happen. Otherwise, this farce will undermine British democracy.
Not really.
No, come on, man. But, what was the point in holding the referendum and then they say, okay, we'll leave? And then it's like, oh, sorry, guys. After 2.5 years to 3 years, we're not leaving. Sorry, we've decided. Come on, man.
For the record,
what's the point of that? Might as well throw the whole democratic process out the window if that's what they're going to start doing.
So that was just one vote, right? You do know all the MPs were voted in combined several elections. You do know that, right, kid? Everyone there was elected. Are you telling me that we should not take account of their opinions? People who are educated, who have experience on this, and if they can't make it work, are you saying we should just go blindly into wherever? These people were elected, they were voted in, so shouldn't we respect their opinions? Because we gave faith in them to run our country. We gave faith in them. And if they can't figure out a way of making us leaving work, surely that means something. Surely.
Okay. Yeah, so...
What do you think? It's surely...
I think...
They were voted in, though. That's democracy.
But people also voted... That's a completely different thing. People
but that's one election. But hundreds of elections have led to the dynamics that are existing now in Parliament. They
these
were
people,
they were all voted in. They're also more qualified.
they were voted in to fight for and reflect the beliefs of the people that voted for them.
But even if the beliefs are detrimental to the country, are you saying we should go anyway? Like,
No, but who are we to say
that's the point. No. That's the point. The fact that politicians can't make it work, that implies it's a bad move.
No, but it's what I said before. It's not just whether it can or can't work. It's the fact that some people don't want to make it work. You have people,
Are you saying it could work?
Of course it could work.
Then why are they doing it?
But you have to. No, I'm saying what?
Why are they doing it?
I'm saying Brexit could work.
Then why are they doing it?
What do you mean? Why are they doing it?
Why aren't they doing it?
Why aren't they doing it?
Why haven't they made it work?
Because there's a deal that needs to be agreed upon by Parliament, and there also needs to be a deal that is agreed upon by the EU. There are some MPs, without getting too much into it, because I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in every little thing, because I'm not. But without getting too much into it, there are definitely some MPs that don't want Brexit whatsoever. Not soft Brexit, not hard Brexit, not clean Brexit, not no deal Brexit. They don't want Brexit whatsoever,
No
including
breakfast.
the likes of David Lammy. They don't want Brexit whatsoever. They wish, they hope, if they had a magical red button to press to say there's no Brexit, they'll press it. They'll revoke Article 50 today. Certain members of the Labour Party, as well as almost the entire Liberal Democrat Party, they don't want Brexit to begin with. They never did, and they never will. So they will vote against whatever Theresa May puts in front of them. And then you have some Tories who will say, okay, we wanted a Brexit, but these deals, they're pointless. These aren't the deals we wanted.
Then make that happen. Then make your deals happen.
Because Theresa May keeps having to go back and forth, and I almost feel, after everything she's done.
You almost feel sorry for her? I want to give her a hug.
I almost feel sorry, almost.
Well,
I'm not
I
quite
actually
there
feel sorry.
yet. I almost feel sorry for her. She has to go back and forth. Hey, EU, we've got a deal for you. We don't like it. Okay, I'll go back. Okay, guys, let's do this. Parliament, agree with me. Nope, we don't agree with you. Okay, I'll go back to the EU. Hi, EU. And then back and forth. Come on. Get, work with me.
Seriously, you're getting too loud.
Like Theresa May's, have you not seen her recently? Her voice doesn't even work. She's got a sore throat. She's tired. She's having to do.
I defended her last year, and you were like, you were surprised by that. I defended Trump. You didn't question that. I mean, I'm indifferent to Trump, but I kind of defend him, like, certain things he's done. You didn't have a problem with that. But as soon as I defended May, as soon as people were done recording, I was like, oh, did I surprise you when I defended Trump? I was like, that's nothing. You defended May. No one's going to think you're biased. Like, you think May is worse than Trump? Really? How are you so? You said because she's a strong, independent woman, you don't like May.
What are you talking? Which episode was this?
The first time we recorded, and I said I wasn't completely, I
never said that May was worse than Trump.
No, you were surprised I defended May. I mean, I defended Trump, but you didn't find any issue there. But May, I defend May, like, oh my god, how can you defend May?
Because Trump isn't the president of the UK. Whatever Trump does, that's them. That's America. America likes to pretend that they run the world, but they don't.
I think we established earlier in the video, like,
that they do.
But yeah, but the culture and stuff, are you saying you want all your TV shows to get cancelled?
There's influence, but they don't run the world. No country runs the world, and that's not me trying to offend anybody. The thing is, you've got people are trying to stab Theresa May in the back for different reasons. There are people within the Tory party that want to get rid of her so that they can replace her. There are people that want a harder Brexit. There are people that want a softer Brexit, and there are people that don't want any Brexit, and that's within the entire parliament. So no matter, like, the UK Parliament wants a deal that is in their best interests, but many of their best interests, again, without going too much into it, are against the interest of the EU. There are some people in the UK Parliament, some people still, like, at least they did before, I'm not sure now, but at least they did before. They originally wanted a Brexit where we would have everything that we had before we decided to leave, but we would have left. So staying in the customs union, staying in a single market.
They might as well stay if that's what they wanted.
Like, so basically have everything that we had before.
But what's the difference?
But just we leave the EU, but we keep all the good bits. That's what some people actually believed we could have. Even people within the Leave campaign were saying that we could leave the EU, but essentially it won't make a difference. The only except that we wouldn't have the European bureaucrats telling us what to do. We would retain and regain our sovereignty.
What does that mean? Like, people keep saying that's an argument. What is sovereignty? Why does that matter? What is that? You're
just that's the type of nonsense they were saying.
Is that
Obviously,
nonsense?
that's
Is that
not.
Nonsense?
Well,
The BBC, like, they've been called biased, and some people, like, the sovereignty, they mention that sovereignty, they try to give it ban or something. What is the sovereignty? What is the sovereignty that people crave? What is this sovereignty?
I don't know. Sovereignty. Don't make me say stuff I know nothing about. We're supposed to have a sovereign, but she's a figurehead. So I don't know what sorts of sovereignty we're supposed to uphold here.
Yes.
Jesus.
I don't know.
It's like, so with this Brexit
You're the political guy with us. I'm the challenger. You're the political guy. You should know this.
We're both politically challenged. That's the whole ideal. And also, Theresa May can never win the situation because
I just want to hug her.
she can't win the situation because she inherited David Cameron's mess and Boris Johnson's mess. They all left her
Boris's fault.
because he was
Cameron
in charge of the Leave campaign and said,
Yeah, but Cameron was Prime Minister. He didn't have to say yes to it. He didn't have to say yes to it.
Because there was a lot of pressure on him to put this referendum forward. It wasn't him waking up one day and saying, do you know what I'd really love to do? Risk my career and put forward this referendum. There were lots of hard anti-EU politicians within his own party that were claiming that he was too soft, too centre, too lenient. So because of the pressure from the very hard right wing people in the party, he had to put that referendum through. And there were people within the public, in the public spectrum, that wanted this vote to happen. So he put it through, thinking, have your cute little vote. Most people will have the common sense to stay in the EU. That's not what happened. I'm saying common sense. David Cameron.
We know people that voted leave for valid reasons.
No, exactly. But like from David Cameron's point of view, I presume he would have thought they'll have the common sense to stay in.
Basically, to agree with what he said.
To agree with the general consensus.
I
what he said.
Call back to our first video where I put that thing about the disillusioned politicians. Yeah, that's right. Like, he was a disillusioned politician thinking the entire country would basically bend when he told them to bend, or to kneel when he told them to kneel. They didn't kneel. They stood up and said...
And then Theresa May inherited the mess. And I hopefully I've made my point a bunch of times. So she can't win her case.
I would hug Theresa May.
The UK Parliament is a mixture of Brexiteers who want all the good bits of being in the EU without being in the EU, Brexiteers who want nothing to do with the EU whatsoever, so they don't want anything the EU has to offer, they want to leave the EU, and then you have the Remainers who never wanted Brexit in the first place. All of them don't like the deals that May's putting through for different reasons, because for different reasons, they believe that it's not good enough. So they will all vote against what she's putting forth to them. So she can't seem to please the UK Parliament, so she has to go to the EU and say, okay, they don't like this, can we have this instead? And the EU looks at these deals and say, okay, this isn't in our best interest either, we don't want this, and she has to go back to the UK, she has to go back to Brussels, she has to go back to the UK, etc., etc., etc. She can't win this.
She goes to Europe a lot for the place we're leaving.
She can't win this. She can't win this.
That's why,
Jeremy Corbyn, instead of trying to help her come up with a solution that both parties...
Sorry about that. The storage ran out.
Okay,
That's
so...
all Brexit in the last minute.
A little quick run. So Jeremy Corbyn, instead of trying to help Theresa May with this and to show what a fantastic leader he could be for the country, he decides to call for another general election. Oh, we can do it better. We need to call for a general election so that... What's the point? What is the point?
We can sum it up. Basically, he lost. He's not helping.
He lost 2 years ago. Theresa May lost some seats, but she's got the DUP's support, at least to an extent.
Right.
But what we need to do is work together as a country, work together as a government to find the best solution that we all agree on, then vote on it. Like, get a bipartisan deal going instead of just Theresa May and her government coming up with everything. Get a bipartisan deal, get all the parties together, come up with a deal, and then take it to Brussels instead of
Combined.
everybody voting against what Theresa May wants. Theresa May consolidates with all the parties, all the leaders, all the politicians that have some power, and then they come up with a solution. Everybody agrees. Then they go to Brussels.
Done.
That's it. Sorted.
Alrighty. Everything's gonna die here, so we have to wrap up. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Hindsight. We will try to make another video soon.
In hindsight, was Brexit really a good idea?
I didn't vote for it. We'll see what happens. Like when this gets uploaded.
Brexit under this parliament, under this.
Actually, we don't know. It might take me a while to edit this and upload it. Like Brexit might have happened when we done this. Imagine that. We're out of the EU. Can you dream about such a world?
There's supposed to be a delay. It's not legally binding, but it gives us an extra few weeks. But Brexit might have happened by the time we finish this.
Alrighty. It's goodbye from you.
It's a goodbye from Ron. See ya.
Ta-ra.